Where I want to start is with this idea that as a behavioral scientist, when we think about organizations, we think of organizations as kind of an orchestration of both social and technical elements or tangible and intangible assets that you have as an organization that you need to harmonize and bring together to maximize strategy execution, right? So you've got something you're trying to achieve. You have a set of assumptions about what you believe is required for you to win, and winning in two very important environments. One, winning with your customers, and secondly, winning with your employees. No more have we ever found ourselves in history like we do today, where the war for talent is absolutely central in the longevity and sustainability of organizations' competitive advantage.
Great to be here. So today we're talking a little bit about the digital employee experience. Multiple times a year, organizations are pivoting, changing, trying to create new markets. It's a very challenging times. And what we're seeing, there's a couple of challenges happening at the moment. You know, if we look at the organizations in the Fortune 500 and Forbes top 500, 90% of their time is focused on the client experience. 90% of the time, the effort, priorities are spent on the customer experience. And for a long time, that was great. And they should have, right? It's how you became competitive. It's how you got your market share. It's how you progressed to the market. So what's happening with the rest of 10%? The second challenge is around the changing landscape. And there's more data, there's more information coming out about millennials, but by 2025, 75% of the workforce will be millennials. That's less than, it's not even 7 years, it's less than that, it's 6 and a bit. 20 to 30% of people now engage in the gig economy. So it might be freelance work, there might be contractors, they might want to work through the ABN. We see there's a lot in technology. People are choosing how they want to work, where they want to work, when they want to work, which is a real change from looking for an FTE or an employee, someone that's got the talent, particularly in technology where some technology resources and competencies are scarce. That's really hard, right? And some of the work that we do today could be automated. And we're seeing that. People are getting scared about AI replacing jobs. Lawyers are scared about AI replacing jobs. Some of these activities that we undertake today could be automated. So there's a real changing landscape. There's a disconnect of priorities from an organisation focusing on client experience, and there's a changing landscape underneath the feet of the organisations around how employees engage and want to be engaged as well. So what's the digital workplace like today? The employee experience is rarely designed. Organisations will focus on culture, they'll focus on the physical built environment, making it look creative and sexy and great place to work in the cultural aspects of how to work together as a team. Technology teams might try and roll out some technology to help with collaboration, like Teams or Slack, but it's rarely designed as a cohesive strategy. We also make it difficult. We roll out apps. We'll roll out a new productivity app. Microsoft, which is one of our sponsors, and I love those guys. I think there's 19 plus different productivity apps in the Office 365 suite. You add that with a HR system, an expense system, you add it with your intranet, you start to get overloaded by the number of applications that you have to use just to do your job. The average number of apps people use to do your job is 9. That's excluding other apps that you might need to do every so often, once a month. I've got to do budgeting and forecasting. It excludes those things, right? This is just to do my job, 9 apps. And a lot of people believe that if they just had a way of working with the things they need to work, a concentrated interface where they could do the main things they need to do, keep it seamless. 67% of people believe that if they could just focus on the important things for their work, they'll be a lot more productive, right? And there's a lot of data to support that. In certain industries, people have a prescribed way of working, they have a curated experience, and it really helps to drive productivity. So we believe that the employee experience is the new battleground. We've talked about how organisations try and build a strong culture, they try and build the built environment. The technology needs to be integrated into that holistic strategy, right? Organisations who focus on employee experience outperform the rest. So there's some really great HBR articles around this, and one of the guys who's spearheading, I guess, the change in this domain is a guy called Jacob Morgan, who runs an employee experience index. It's got like the top 400 companies globally, Google, Facebook, you name it, Nike, whatever the companies are, they're on there, right? And it rates the culture, it rates the technology, it rates how the organizations deal with that holistic strategy, right? And you can see what organizations are trying to do to get all those three things lined up. Giving someone a holistic experience to operate and do their best in, we are not doing. We know that happy employees, engaged employees, add to retention, productivity, make fewer mistakes, but what are we doing to support them in that? We believe that technology can help bridge that gap, right? So we believe that technology can bridge the gap in employee experience. Moments that matter. So moments that matter is similar to a concept in client experience called moments of truth. And they're the moments of truth where customers are interacting with you at key moments that make a difference to that experience. It's the same in the employee workspace. Moments that matter for employees are trying to get things done, trying to get something approved, right? Ever try to get something approved and it was so hard? Went to the CEO, went through all these different layers, right? Those things matter to people. They're the things people talk about on the weekends. They're the things that make it frustrating to work somewhere. Oh, I just had to try and get my expenses reimbursed, right? It's such a hard process, right? Those things matter. They're moments that matter to employees. So let's talk a little bit about how we see the world, particularly in the intelligent workplace. So SXiQ, we've had a long history of doing work in things like Office 365, Active Directory, migrations, cloud migrations, Azure, those types of things. So what are the benefits? Well, it depends. Some organizations are going for things like cost out. Other organizations are focused on employee engagement. Some are focused on safety and compliance. There's a number of different benefits depending on how you design the experience. Your experience might be to help with safety and compliance. Certainly with organizations that are working through the Royal Commission at the moment, there's going to be a lot more emphasis on how we can support and remind employees about compliance. It's fundamental change. Other organizations, it's the war on talent. How do I get more engagement? How do I make people have more job satisfaction? That's going to be your focus, and that's how you design your measures around how I'm getting there or not.